Okay, for one thing, you can see the wall line. See where they expose the wall line down here?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see where they're digging. They're digging several places over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so one thing that's funny is they're actually, and I'll go over this up there, but they're trying to deal with David at this time. And he's saying that, you know, he's trying to demonstrate that David wasn't a powerful king. But they've exposed Joshua's destruction here. So this is also another city that Joshua destroyed, and it's another city that the Syrians destroyed. But you can see the wall line here. I didn't bring you over here to show you the wall line, but you can see you can see the wall exposed right here, and you can see that that's what is giving shape to the tell. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So when you have this tell-looking like structure, you know you've got these Middle Bronze type walls that are built in there. Okay, what we walked over here to see is this. If you look as far as you can, you see a factory.
Right.
You see the factory?
Yeah.
Now go directly to the left as far as you can see, and you'll see a giant tell over there. You see it?
Yeah.
It's got looks like a tree up on top, or a few of them.
Yeah.
It almost looks like a bowl or something going like this.
Uh-huh.
That is Gath.
Huh.
So that is the hometown of Goliath.
Hmm.
So we're going to walk up now on the hill and look down on where David and Goliath fought.
Yeah.
And I want you to have this context of how far the Philistines came. The Elah Valley is to the right of that tell. Do you see it? And it's coming like this. And it's coming by us. You see the fields down there? It's coming by the tell over here, and then it's going to swing around, as you're going to see. It's going to swing around this way and then go up towards the mountains. Okay? So Gath, or Goliath, came from there. Ekron is over this way. So they came from Ekron and Gath and the 5 Philistine cities. These are the 2 inland ones. This is the one that is the most inland, Gath. And then Ekron, which is further that way, is also inland. And then the other 3 of the 5 major Philistine cities that had rulers are on the coast: Ashdod, Ashkelon, and Gaza. Major Philistine city, and this is a major Israelite city. Can you imagine that maybe you're going to have a story between a conflict of the Israelites and the Philistines somewhere in here? They're trying to push this way, and Israel is trying to keep them from doing that. And they climax, the Philistines climax in their power and strength at the time of David.
The 5 cities were Gezer, Geshim, Ashkelon, Ashdod, you said?
No, the 5 cities are Gath. These are the 5 Philistine cities.
No, I know those. I'm talking about the cities that were guarding the valley.
So far we've gone to Gezer,
Geshim,
Bet Shemesh,
Shemesh,
and Azekah. This site's name is Azekah. This guards the Elah Valley, Bet Shemesh guards the Sorek Valley, and Gezer guards the Ayalon. Around here they say Ayalon. Because Y's are, J's are Y's.
From, I think Samson became God, wasn't he?
Yes. That's where he pushed down the temple.
Some of the translations will say 50,070. Some will say 70. fire. But that's the only translation. Things get messed up. But it doesn't seem like anything major gets messed up. Basic thoughts. Right. They're just numbers and things like that.
Spot to sit, and some of you can sit in here, but the problem is I don't want this tree to mess up your view. I think you'll be able to see from there, Fred. I think you're fine, but let's Kingdom of Israel do it. See it from here. Let's get over here where that tree's not in our way. Okay, right in here. This story is all about the lay of the land, the geography. Well, as far as what we can see, I mean.
My precious. We just found it. What is that? Probably modern?
No, it's not modern. It's old. It's like late bronze. It's one thing that they've exposed here, like I said, is Joshua's destruction, which is not what they wanted to expose. That's early bronze, yes.
That's about Abraham's son, right?
Yeah, even older.
Why did they not want to expose Joshua?
Because they don't believe in that. Okay, they believe it's mythology. Okay, so this you got to get. Okay, so I'm going to give you geography here. We just saw Gath back here, and we saw that the Elah Valley is coming up and around the back of the tell here, and then you see it snaking through here. You see this? It's down here, and then it turns hard left and goes up through the hills and up to the mountain ridge. You can barely see the mountain ridge in the background. Remember I was telling you, if you're in Jordan and you're looking at the mountains, it looks like a ridge line. Do you see that ridge line in the haze? I mean, the one you can barely see. So that ridge line is going along here, and that's where most of your biblical cities are. And these cities are guarding the western flank, which, look out here. Do you see that's the Philistine plains? And so the main travel route through here is across the coastal plain, because it's flat. Why travel through this area when you can travel that nice smooth? So the Egyptians are coming up and attacking from this direction. The Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Hellenistic Empire, the Romans, everyone is coming down on this with their big war machinery, and then they're taking out this western flank of these cities with these valleys. Okay, so follow the road up, and then you see that turn, that hard left turn. You see that? Yeah. So follow the road. That's the Elah Valley continuing. That road goes up to Jerusalem. So follow that road, and then it disappears between this hill in front of us, and then it reappears again. You see it? And then it goes up, and it turns right. And then it turns back a little bit to the left. You see that? Right. Go directly to the right of that, and you'll see a small bald hill back there. You see that? With no trees on it. That looks like it's got trees on it, but those are behind it. It's a bald tell. Everybody see what I'm talking about? That's Socoh. 100% certain that that's Socoh, because they found an inscription there that gives the name of the city, and guess what the name was in the inscription? Socoh. Okay, so that's Socoh. We're standing on Azekah. Azekah. Now, if you look at Socoh and Azekah, there's only two ridges that are between us, these two tells. Do you see that? We got this ridge line right here that's closest to us, and then we got that ridge line over there that's got trees on it and goes up to a hill with all the bushes on it, And then the valley of Elah is in between them. Okay, now go to the buses that are parked down here and go behind them down the road. See that car that's going down there? That car is going down there and it's about to get to a green sign. It's about to get to a green sign. It's going to go over a bridge right now. You see that?
Yeah.
And you see that stream coming through there? That's the Elah stream. And it's flowing right against that far edge of this ridge that's in front of us. You see it?
Yeah.
And then the rest of the valley out there. Socoh, Azekah, one ridge line with the stream going on this side of the valley. And then the valley in between these two ridges and that far ridge. Okay, now turn to 1 Samuel 16. The thing that changes the least over time is the topography, geography. And so we can read this about this battle and we can see what it's talking about. Did I say 16? I meant chapter 17. 1 Samuel chapter 17. Okay, you there?
Yeah.
Verse 1. Now the Philistines gathered their forces for war and assembled at Socoh in Judah. Okay, now that doesn't mean Socoh is in Judah. It's a Judahite city, right? It's an Israelite city. So when they gather their forces at Socoh, it's not saying that they gathers their forces inside the city walls of Socoh that you're looking over there. It's saying it's in the vicinity of Socoh. Okay, next verse. They pitched camp at Ephes Damim between Socoh and Azekah. So where is Ephes Damim? It's that ridge line associated with Socoh. See it? Verse 2. Saul and the Israelites assembled and camped in the valley of Elah and drew up their battle line to meet the Philistines. Verse 3, the Philistines occupied one hill and the Israelites another, with the valley between them. You see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are the Israelites camped?
On this side.
Right on this hill, right here. Where's the hill that the Philistines are camped?
Over there.
And do you see that one across there is the one associated with Socoh?
Right.
Yeah.
This one would be more associated with Azekah.
Right.
Yeah.
Verse 4, a champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, came out of the Philistine camp. So he's coming out of that camp somewhere in that valley between these two hills to taunt the Israelites. Now, interestingly, if you look at this ridge that the Israelites were on, you see directly across, you see some stones. You kind of see ruins up there on the hill that directly across from us. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
That is the Elah fortress that was excavated fairly recently by Hebrew University, by a professor there named Garfinkel. Okay, Caiapha is another name for it. Okay, it makes sense. And then what happened is the Hebrew University started digging that site, Garfinkel, and he said this fortress dates to the time of David, which makes sense that he would then build a fortress, right, where he fought Goliath. And so then the University of Tel Aviv freaked out and said, oh man, that's not true. So they started digging Azekah to battle that argument. And then Garfinkel said, okay, I'm going to dig Socoh. So he went over there to dig Socoh, but they wouldn't give him a permit, and the University of Tel Aviv wrestled the permit away from him and did it himself, and they found that somebody had been digging over there in a water bottle of a guy on Garfinkel's team, and so they sued Garfinkel for digging where they didn't have a permit. Garfinkel dug here and went to Lachish, where we're going next, to dig in the battle for David. So Garfinkel's side is saying David is really a powerful king, and this side, if they could, they would say, and they used to say, that he's a myth. But since a Tel Dan inscription was found, they can't say that. So now they're trying to make him. Finkelstein, sorry, University of Tel Aviv.
Saying David was powerful?
Yeah, Garfinkel is saying that David is powerful. Garfinkel. Finkelstein is it with the university? Yeah. Anyways, the point is that this battle is going on archaeologically. Do you see it? They're doing their chess moves. Okay, this is for David now. Before, they did this already with Joshua. Before that, they did it already with Moses. Before that, they did it already with the patriarchs. Eventually, they'll work their way up to Jesus. They're just erasing the tell on its way up, and now you got this little tell that's just hanging in the air with none of the historical layers underneath it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What they're saying is mythology. Actually, what they're claiming is not backed up by any ancient text. And everything that you believe, that we believe, is backed up by ancient texts. Okay, back to the story. I want to read that first verse again now that we went through all that. Now the Philistines gathered their forces for war and assembled at Socoh in Judah. They pitched their camp at Ephes Damim between Socoh and Azekah. Okay, so let me just read a portion of that battle. I'm not going to read the whole account, but I'll skip over to verse 45. So David goes down off of that position and he crosses that creek. And what does he do when he crosses the creek?
Picks up stones.
He picks up 5 smooth stones and he puts them in his pouch. Verse 45, David said to the Philistine, "You come against me with a sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of Yahweh Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day Yahweh will hand you over to me, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. Today I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds of the air and the beasts of the earth, and the whole world will know there is a God in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that Yahweh saves, for the battle is Yahweh's, and he will give all of you into our hands." As the Philistine moved closer to attack him, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. Reaching into his bag and taking out a stone, he slung it and struck the Philistine on the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. So David triumphed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone. Without a sword in his hand, he struck down the Philistine and killed him. So if I skip down to 51, when the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they turned and ran. Then the men of Israel and Judah surged forward with a shout and pursued the Philistines to the entrance of Gath and to the gates of Ekron. So the battle takes place. The victory is Goliath's. The Philistines take off and they run back to Gath and Ekron where they came from.
Okay, I'm having trouble picturing that because they have to go around where the Israelites
Yeah,
are.
they have to come past this, or did they go that way?
They might have gone that way. I don't know. All we know is they ran and they pursued them and they ended up at Gath. And
Could you tell us about how big the stones would be?
the stones, you saw the sling stones in the Israel Museum from the Assyrians. They're like the size of my fist. We're not talking, he didn't go like this. He went like this. Big stone. Let's see, I'm looking for one particular thing, just a second. Looking for where it describes Goliath's weapons. 7, look, it says here, verse 5, he had a bronze helmet on his head and wore a coat of scale armor of bronze weighing 5,000 shekels. Do you remember that scale armor that we saw in there? That scale armor is huge. On his legs he wore bronze greaves, and a bronze javelin was slung on his back. The spear shaft was like a weaver's rod, and its iron point weighed 600 shekels. Do you remember that spear that I showed you, that spearhead in the Israel Museum?
Yeah.
The specific, that was found in a site in Philistine country. That comes from the Philistines. And the article that was written about that discovery of that says again, there's no possible way that a man could use this. It's just way too big. It was just used as a decoration. So it's not that things like this aren't found. It's that they're interpreted differently than you would if you were still using the Bible to interpret them.
Mine says 15 pounds, so that probably would be about.
Yeah, so that's about 15 pounds, you say? 15 pounds. Your Bible says that? Yeah, 15 pounds then is what the study note on that says. And if you would pick that huge spearhead up, that would be probably about 15 pounds.
It'd be like throwing a bowling ball and a half through the air.
Yeah. Okay. Take a mental picture.